Afternoon, everybody. Today is December the 12th, 2015. It's been about 2 years since I've done a market analysis, so let me get back to work on that. Looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average moving into the week ahead. This is Saturday, so you can see the chart here. The Dow is going to be also reflective of the S&P and the NASDAQ. They're all going to be saying basically the same thing and doing about the same thing. So I'm not going to look at all the charts, just this one. But the main thing to show you here on this the Dow chart. You've got this consolidation period that's been going on here, kind of just bouncing around, going nowhere. That's perfectly normal. It's just consolidation for a bit, a resting period, and here you get some nice little sell-off, and then comes right back up here. This coming back here shows you the actual strength of this market. Okay, that's the most important element. We're going to talk about that another way as well. I know that you have this bearish cross here, where you have the 50-period moving average falling below the 200-period moving average. I wouldn't pay much mind to that, and I'll show you why in a moment. But again, the real strength is indicated right here, and how we come right back and start coming up here and doing the same thing again. Yes, we're seeing some sell-off right here, but this is about the Fed and the Fed's uncertainty. So when the Fed comes out next week and likely to raise rates, how much we don't know. We do know a couple of other things though. Number one, the Fed is usually raises the rates more than once before your market peak happens. So it'll usually raise it twice. So what happens here if we get a Fed rate rise, I wouldn't look for the market peak here. It's not typically worked out that way. Also, the Fed has been extremely accommodative up to this point, so the rate isn't near zero. I would look for it to have to raise a good little bit before we're back up to putting any real pressure on the economy. Right now, a little bump to the upside by the Fed wouldn't really do anything, and so that's something to keep in mind. The most important element, though, is that this short-term activity here that we see, it's like I said, it's just weak. You want to look for these opportunities here as opportunities to buy. You can get a nice little hammer candlestick formation like this. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. Also here, when we have the Fed doing its behavior and the market selling off ahead of that, a nice little sell-off down here would actually be an opportunity. If you can get a nice little entry signal, I would take advantage of that. And here's why. Okay, this is a longer-term picture of the Dow Jones Industrial Average going back about 5 years. Each one of these candlesticks is going to represent a week of trading activity. The main thing I want to show you here is look at your 50-period moving average right here up above the 200-period moving average. This is very, very bullish condition here. Of course, you know that. But also up here you can see lots of distance between these 2 points. There's nothing here that's bearish. There's no crossover. There's no nothing. It's just very, very in its long-term upward trend. I have no problem with it. Now, like I said before, you got up here and you started to roll over and do a little bouncing around like this and dipping down and come back up here. All you're doing is consolidating. Yes, you're going to see some pullback with the Fed activity next week. That's perfectly fine. It would be, like I said before in the previous chart, a buying opportunity off that 200-period moving average on a longer-term chart. So it's something that I would look for as a buying opportunity. If we got kind of a pullback next week, nice little setup on the long side, I would continue to look at the longer-term picture as still bullish. The Fed raising rates is not going to change that, not at this point in time. So continue to be looking for entry opportunities, not the other way around. Also, look at your slow stotch. You can see you got still up here at the 80 point. A little pullback by the Fed next week won't be anything but an opportunity to take a long position. God bless. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.